Hey, what's going on there, everybody? Hey, I'm coming at you today, Gary McCormick, with AffordableCraftsmen.net. Been a builder, GC, house flipper, remodeler, lot developer for the last 30 years in North Atlanta, Georgia. My wife is a realtor. She's helped me for 30 years to run my businesses, so she's one of the realtors that actually knows about all that there construction, lot, land, real estate investor nonsense. She's not the agent that just helps you buy and sell your house. She's pretty sophisticated. I call her super agent. She likes that. Anyways, this particular one is going to be about comparing lots. Lots meaning land, but not 5 to 20 acres. That's land that we split into lots to do developments and to do multiple houses. We're talking about 5 acres or less, which would typically be a lot for one house. Some areas of town in Atlanta, the suburbs, or downtown in Atlanta are very tight, small lots, eighth of an acre, stuff like that, quarter acre, half acre. I would say that the average lot that we build on out in the suburbs is probably 1 acre, although we also do a lot of half acre and 2 acre, and 5 for that matter if you get further out a little bit into the boonies. Land becomes much cheaper, much more available, and people want horses and things and chickens, and for that you need 2 acres to 5 acres. But the pretty typical house in the suburbs is an acre plus or minus. Some of them are on sewer, but over the years, as things develop, it gets harder and harder to get to the sewer actually. You end up on septic. I've done probably 70 to 90% of my houses that I've built were on septic, excuse me. So I'm very good at septic. A lot of builders only build on sewer. That obviously doesn't require any skill whatsoever. You just pay a tap from the city. If you're going to do septic, then that requires some land development, geology type skills and things that builders that build in subdivisions typically don't have. So I'm more like a builder that builds out on private land, out on a side road, on an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres. We do develop subdivisions up to maybe 8 or 12 or 16 lots, but they tend to be, 1 or 2 acre lots and kind of semi-rural, what we call minor subdivision, no fire hydrants, more simple utilities, got a double lane road or driveway with a turnaround for, emergency vehicles. But all that to say, that's what we do, and the thing about it is these lots. I want to talk about comparing lots. This comes up all the time with my wife, Renee, who's an agent. And she's on a team of about 35 or 40 folks, and a lot of them run into people that want to buy a lot. And many of them just refer the client to my wife, Renee, because they know that her husband's a builder, i.e. me, and she's great with land. She got great with land, helping me with land, because I develop small subdivisions, and I often buy land that requires fixing. So the nature of this land that requires fixing, I call them frankenlots. These are the lots that have been available for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and occasionally one of them comes for sale on the market. And whenever it does, it gets hammered with calls. Why? Because let's say in Roswell, Georgia, a 1 acre septic lot to build a house is $200,000. Some of these older lots that are a quarter or half acre or are a little bit weird shaped along a creek, things like that, they will be significantly less. They'll be 50 or 100 grand, and you think, oh my gosh, I can finally build an affordable house in Roswell, Georgia, hot dang. Listen, there's always a reason that these lots are cheaper. They're on the side of a cliff. They require a double basement. They have drainage issues, and the land won't perk, so you can't do septic. If you do septic, it's not going to be 8 or 10 or 15 grand. It's going to be double, triple, quadruple that, because you need some special scientifically engineered system with pumps and with treatment pods, and it just gets real involved. So when I see a lot like that that's too good to be true, I then look to find out why. I find out what the problems are. And what you almost always find, but not always, there are gems, there's treasure there, is that, let's say an A lot, which is a lot that you just build the house and everything sits pretty, is 200 grand. By the time you turn these lots into A lots, whether that means doing retaining walls, whether that means bringing 50 or 100 loads of dirt, whether that means clearing a forest on it because it's just so crazy vegetated, whether it means building a double basement with a garage, with a elevator, so that the people can use the double basement and the two-story house and get up and down in an elevator. The cost of cure will almost always bring you very close to what the lot would have cost anyways. Then at the end of the day, the question is, did you want all those retaining walls and all that dirt and all that elevator and double basement? And if not, then just spend the 200 grand and buy the lot. But human nature is that we see 50 and 75 and 100 grand and we think, oh, we're gonna make a killing. And we don't realize that it's a Franken lot. All the other lots and subdivisions around it were developed, and all of the water runoff, all of the utilities, all of the problems and the elevations, they come back into that 2, 3, 5 acre piece of land that sits in between the other subdivisions. And this is the kind of land or the kind of lot that you get left with 20, 30, 50 years later. Also, when you build a subdivision, let's say you build a subdivision of 100 lots. 20 of those lots will be A lots, 30 will be B lots, 30 will be C lots, 20 will be D lots, and 20 will be horrible. 20, 30, 40 years later, you'll still see these horrible lots, that they were horrible when they did the development. None of the builders wanted the lots when it was developed, but they had to take them in a draft, right? When you're 5 builders and you each get 20 lots, you go around and you all take A's and you take B's, you take C's and D's, and you end up with a few of these lots that are basically unbuildable or built at such an expense when you add the added costs in that they're just... And what happens is they just build on the nicer lots. They start building, of course, on the A lots right by the front, then the B lots, the C lots, they finally build on the D lots, and then the E and beyond lots, they just leave. And 20, 30, 50 years later, they're for sale for 50 grand instead of 200. And that's how those nasty, boogery leftovers are there. Now, I have bought many, many lots way below market and been able to fix them. It is possible. It's not uncommon. If I look at 20 lots like this, that 2 or 3 of them that I can fix with good building science, or I can fix with a workaround, or I can get an exemption, or whatever, I can fix them somehow. And maybe that lot's going to go from 50 to 100 grand, but it's still better than 200 grand. So I buy the lot for 50, I put 50 grand into it, I got 100 in it, and I turn around and build a house on it and sell it. And because that lot did not cost me 200 grand, because that lot only cost me 50 grand plus 50 grand of renovations or, improvements, it basically cost me 100 grand. That was my basis. That means at the end of that job, that $1 million house, instead of making 150 grand, I may make 250. And if the market goes bad, which it sometimes does, then I have that extra 100 grand that I can mark down the house to get it unloaded, to get rid of it. I might not make any extra money, but I might unload that bad boy and get my money out. So you can mitigate risk, you can still build on and do things with them, but you need to be very cautious. And this is where this lends me into trouble with agents. I've known many agents that have 20 plus years experience that are more experienced at real estate than my wife, Renee. They are not more experienced than me with land development or with building. And they go out and they buy these lots for clients, and they do say to them, oh, you'll have to do retaining walls or bring in dirt, or you're going to have to get this approved or get these variances or get something rezoned. And they have some knowledge, but very often it ends up in trouble, even with these agents that I would consider super agents. Why? Because for 20 years they've done 20, 30 deals a year, and the vast majority are existing houses. They have such a limited exposure to land and lots, unless they're married to a builder, or a builder as well, and there are some women builders, then they're going to be very, very underwhelming. They're going to be very in danger to make a mess. And what you need is not really a real estate agent. And the real estate agents, they intuitively know this. They see that people want to buy a lot. And you'll notice that most of the younger real estate agents, or the less experienced ones, they'll dodge you. They'll try and give you to someone else. They'll avoid your call. They'll put it off indefinitely. Because they know that they don't know squat about dirt. Utilities, there's quite a bit to developing land. Quite a bit. And really, you have to come from the builder side to make much sense of it. You need to have surveyors and engineers, and most people that would try and help you buy a lot like this that are agents don't have anyone like that on their team. Now, I have people like that on my team. Why? Because we transact land and develop lots pretty often. And as a result, when I have a client that needs a survey or a topography, a 2-foot topo, or a study to be able to build in the marsh, I have engineers that do all of that, and my engineers often are half the price, and they're great, and they're very responsive. They get it done in half the time, because I've been doing this for almost 30 years. So even though your instinct watching this is to go get a lot with an agent, and then go get a house drawn, right, that fits the lot, because depending on the shape of the lot, what elevations, is it a basement house, is it a crawl, is it a slab, which side does the garage go on, where does the septic system go, you're going to need some help. That's called site plan. You're also going to need help drawing the house. And many people spend money on all of that, 5, 10, 20, 50 grand even, only to discover that it doesn't work on the lot. So again, you really need somebody that knows land and can build on land to help you manage these other professionals. The other thing is, what most architects would charge 10 grand for, my guy would do for 2 or 3. What most people would charge 2 or 3 grand for a site plan, I can often get done for $200 or $300 or $500. So there are advantages to having these connections. They're often less than half the price. They're often twice as fast. And they work together all the time, and they've worked together with me, so I know them. I know who does what, who keeps their word, who's good, who's not, what counties they serve. This is a hot mess for an agent. So if you're watching this in an agent, you might want to refer this to my wife, Renee, and let me help her with it if she needs my help, which she often does, but not always. And get your 25% referral fee. If you're looking for a builder or someone to develop the land or the lots, then you just need to come on and talk to me. Just skip the agent, probably. That would be advisable. It'll save you some money. The agents will want to try and get paid. So again, they're going to refer you to Renee, and then Renee will refer you to me, and then the agent will get paid some from Renee or from me or from both. But do not buy lots with people that don't know land. There's a lot of danger out there, Will Robinson. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Whether you spend 50 grand or 500 grand on land, you want to be very, very cautious. And I can't think of any agent, even my wife Renee, that I would just turn this kind of thing loose on. I'd let Renee do it, but it's because she has me for backup. She pulls 20 properties, 20 pieces of land to look at with a client. She sends them to me, and I kill 17 of them before she ever goes out in the field. Because I can look at them online, I can look at them with my software as a developer, as a builder, and then Renee just comes out and shows you the 2 or 3 or 5 lots that have any possibility. And by then she already knows, I've already told her, well, this one really is going to be this much more, this one's going to be this much more, this one needs this done. So she can add 20, 30, 50 grand, and you can compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges at some extent. The other thing is you're going to need to know how much it's going to cost you to build, how big a house you can build on it, what will it appraise for, will it appraise profitably, can you build it in a way that you have 10 or 20%, maybe even 30% equity, you can. You can also get a coach. We coach people to build their homes. Most we build turnkey, but we do coach people just about every year. We coach someone or a few people, and that can save you 10, 20, 30%, especially on a big house. If you're building a big house and you're retired, you're building with cash or lines of credit, oh yeah, I can hook that up like a tow truck for you. But even if you just hire me turnkey, I'm generally going to be about $10 or $15 a square foot less than everybody else. And since 2002, since my first development and first house, I've never not been the lowest bid to build a custom home. So whatever you want to do with land, whatever kind of lot you want to buy to build on, please reach out to us. This video will be on affordablecraftsman.net. It'll be on Renee's websites, my other websites. It'll be on YouTube channels that we have. You can see the website. You can go to the website and use a quote form or set up an appointment. And a lot of this is free. We do meetings initially with clients for hours for free, multiple meetings. If you hire us, that's great. We're very affordable. We do a great job. But a lot of times what you need is just somebody to glance at stuff and save you some money, tell you not to do a thing, explain why there's danger. And if you don't have 5 or 10 minutes to call us, to email us, at the end of this video there'll be a little plaque at the end, like a slide with office phone numbers, cell numbers, emails, stuff like that. If you can't make 5 or 10 minutes to reach out to Renee or I, that's your loss. We save people 10, 20, 50, 100 grand. We've saved people millions. It doesn't do any harm to have my bid. If you go get 5 or 10 bids, mine's going to be the lowest bid. Why would you not want my bid? It'll shock you when you see what I'm paying for things. Everybody else is $1,000 to $1,250 per plumbing fixture. I'm $500 to $750. Everybody else is $6 to $8 a square foot for framing, worth $3 to $5. Everyone else is $5.50 to $7 for drywall material and labor. We're like $4.50 to $5.50, maybe $6. $1 here, $3 there, $2 there. You multiply that times 2, 3, 5, 10,000 square feet. It's a big savings, and we've been doing it for 30 years. So please reach out to us. I hope this was entertaining. I hope you got something out of it. Just some general concept, high altitude about lots, why lots are dangerous, that there's a lot of Franken lots out there, that there is no free deal, free lunch. If it looks half price or quarter price, it's because something's wrong. Maybe it's a dead lot. You can't build on it at all. Talk about sucking. Don't do that. Reach out and get help. That's what adults do. And I'm glad to help you. My wife's glad to help you. That's what we do for a living. You're not putting us out at all. We're making this video so you know we exist. Hopefully you're a little entertained. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions or you want a video on something else, or if you need anything at all, you know where to find us. Just reach out. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.